Hello, and welcome back to The Flow Show, episode 5. Today we're here to share some of our favorite techniques for finding flow, including some of the things that are in this giant stack of books that I see in front of me. John, do you want to tell me a little bit about this stack of books?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. It's quite hilarious because right before we started, I put all of my books down. We brought them up from downstairs because I'm finally done with them. We can get them out of our way for a minute. But before we do that, I put them in our way so that we could talk about them. Because these books, this set specifically is near and dear to me because it is my wealth of knowledge that I have gathered over the years about flow and altered states of consciousness and optimizing ourselves and biohacking ourselves to the point where we are perfect superhumans.
Well, at the very least, we're able to change our mind at will a little more, with a little more flexibility than maybe we thought before.
Yeah, this is a good way to look at it. I see all of this as useful, but also a bit dense, and it doesn't need to be so difficult, I suppose. Like, in other words, it would be really nice to take all of that and put it in one concise, short little single paragraph thing, and it would help everybody. But unfortunately, that is not the way it is. So there are countless methods and strategies and tools and technologies that seemingly help us change our mindset and unwind our nervous systems so that we can be grounded, present, and hopefully in the flow.
I want to be in the flow because I know what it's like to be not in the flow. And it feels not great.
This is true.
There's that book that I read growing up, Alexander and the Very Good, Very Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, or something like that. Do you remember that book?
No, that is not a book I have read yet.
Oh, it's a book. It's actually a book about friction and like about having a bad day. And when I find myself in periods of struggle, which is like something that we call this part of the flow cycle being in struggle, knowing that I have a tool or a resource to get out of that and move into either the creativity that I want to be finding or expressing, or even just the mood that I want to be experiencing. It's nice to know that I have resources to go back to find that state. And I think that's really what this podcast is about, and about what we're creating is about, is how do we empower people and give people the tools simply and effectively to help them get out of a very bad day.
Yeah.
Or a place where it feels like they're not in flow or achieving what they know that they're capable of, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I believe we're all just trying to avoid getting stuck, stagnating, because it doesn't seem to matter so much in which direction we grow, but as long as there's growth, we seem to be sort of satisfied and happy and thriving human beings because we are growing towards something greater. We don't have to even know what that is half the time, it seems like. But without that aspect of growth, it seems that we stagnate.
Yeah.
We become lazy, which is like an arguable trait, but I think it's just like any trait. It can be cultivated. It can be trained, right? It can be harnessed even. So what we're hoping to do with all of this and all of the information that we've gathered over the years is start to turn it into simpler, more concise, bite-sized pieces. And one of those beautiful bite-sized pieces that we've found is this card game, this randomized selection of training tools, techniques, and technology that you can experiment with and find out for yourself which ones work and which ones don't.
So, what we've done so far is aggregated 22 of our favorites into a card game. We keep adding to this card game. And we want to share a couple of those with you today. We thought also it would be more fun to gamify it. And so we don't know what we're going to talk about yet. We're going to just randomly select these cards because this is actually how you play the game to get into flow. And then once we select the cards, we'll tell you what the different techniques are so you can have a little bit more understanding and maybe even try them out for yourself if any of these resonate with you. Okay, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Take a shower. This is perfect. This is perfect.
This is perfect.
Okay. Why is taking a shower considered either a flow primer or an activity that could possibly get you into a flow state?
Because I smell bad.
Okay. That's typically the reason that might be a motivating factor to get into the shower. What this card is asking you to do is instead of for your personal hygiene, for your mental clarity, take a shower. Because have you ever heard that the best ideas happen in the shower? There's actually a scientific reason for this. Do you care to elaborate?
Oh, you want me to?
Yeah,
elaborate?
I do.
Oh boy. I'll take a stab at it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the exact science for it, but it has a lot to do with relaxing and calming your nervous system. And obviously when you're taking a warm shower versus a cold shower, because that's a whole nother primer.
It is.
The warm shower calms and relaxes you and opens up your blood vessels and increases blood flow. And especially if you increase blood flow to your brain, you're more likely to have ideas and insights and things like that. But it's the combination of a very relaxed state and kind of like that mind wandering or autopilot state that happens pretty naturally in like a shower setting or just like even driving, which is another one, but we won't get into right now.
Well, the definition that we have in the card game is that Csikszentmihalyi, he's a famous behavioral flow theorist. He's a
positive psychologist. But flow theorist for sure.
Yeah.
His book is right here, actually.
Yeah. You quoted a lot, but I grabbed he says that he explained that the time in which we allow our own subconscious to run freely is known as incubation. This occurs when we're placed in an environment that promotes deep thought and relaxation, such as the shower. So you're literally putting yourself in an incubator, which could be the shower or it could be like the car, right?
Or a hot tub. Even.
Or a
yeah. That'd be a good incubator.
Mm-hmm. But I think the incubation comes because we're washing, like we're doing all of these things and we're like in the warm shower, and it provides this like perfect container for new ideas to pop up because we're relaxed, maybe. Yeah.
I think when our minds are able to wander, and this is what's very interesting because, in like a lot of the personal development space, there's a lot of emphasis on meditation, which we'll get into why that's important, and I do believe is very powerful, but it's about harnessing focus and coming back to the present. But there's rarely any, lip service to just mind wandering.
Yeah.
Daydreaming,
yeah. Right? It's a safe space to daydream and your body feels happy.
And granted, there is such thing as too much daydreaming and too much like idle thought, especially if it's like a narrative and creating stories and making you the hero of your narrative. But if you are actually like imagining and creating alternate realities or like sort of best possibilities and I mean that's dreaming, right? And so it's very important, I think, to also have opportunities and space to do that, and the shower is that. I think that's why a lot of people take long showers, because we probably wouldn't take but a 5 to maybe 10-minute shower if we weren't sitting there daydreaming.
Yeah. It's a good place to problem solve too. Like you could go if you feel stuck on a problem, it's nice to just be like, I'm just going to take a shower, like almost step away, and that I think allows you to sometimes see things from a different perspective too.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And driving.
Yeah.
I keep saying it.
It's another card in
It's
the
another
game.
card, I know, but it's so related to this.
It
It is
is. It
incubation.
is.
It's another incubation station.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a way for you to just let your mind wander. And then, when it lands on something, zoom in on it maybe, but you kind of keep this soft, open focus, which is what we're learning is where flow is at.
It is. And our definition for going for a drive is going out for a drive lets us reflect and come back with greater insights, says Eric Kleinberg, PhD professor of sociology at NYU.
Thanks,
So,
Eric.
thanks, Eric. And it's true. Going just for a drive, just to clear the mind. Taking a shower, going for a walk. That's another card that's in the deck. Just going out, going for a walk to move the body and to allow it to move in a way that it was already designed to move, which is walking, can allow parts of our brain to like unwind almost and like, yeah, get out of this friction or tension or inability where it feels like we can just flow and get into that really sweet spot.
And walking is an interesting one because it is sort of active recovery, if you will, or it's like you said, unwind, but it could also be used to prime. But it's how fast you walk and with what goals and intention. But essentially, walking, allows your body to be in autopilot because it knows how to do that. It's like driving; it's simple enough. You can go into autopilot and go into those more relaxed and open spaces with your mind. And I think that's useful as long, again, as you don't get stuck. I think it's the getting stuck that we are all trying to avoid. So we want maneuverability and mobility, flexibility, adaptability, all the abilities, really.
Yeah, it's nice to have a toolkit because when we feel stuck, we can feel real stuck. And I think that's when we start to reach out to the things that make us feel safe or that we use as coping mechanisms. And these cards are a reminder that we don't have to walk away necessarily. We can just switch modes for a second. And sometimes that mode switch is what our brain needs to unlock whatever the code it is to feel better. Should we do another card?
Yeah, let's go through a few more.
Okay. Let's go back to the game. So all this is a scrolling montage of cards that we've created on Canva. And
Canva.
Thanks, Canva, and the artist on Canva. Okay. Ooh, hemisync.
Awesome.
I like this one a lot.
We could rabbit hole real quick with this one.
We could.
We'll try to keep it more generalized, but hemisync. Did you want to explain it?
Well, let's explain what the task is that we would tell people to do.
Yes.
Okay. So one way to get your brain to experience hemisync would be to take your hands and draw with them at the exact same time and try to draw the same patterns with them at the same time to get your brain to synchronize.
Well, hemisync stands for hemispheric synchronization.
Yes. So hemispheric synchronization, also known as brainwave synchronization. Monroe claimed that the technique synchronizes the two hemispheres of one's brain.
So Monroe, by the way, the founder of the Monroe Institute. This is where it gets super rabbit hole.
Okay, tell me.
Because essentially he was like contracted or hired by the CIA back in I think even the 50s to start looking into, because he's a consciousness researcher. He researched human consciousness, and then the CIA is like, yo, you got to help us figure out how to I don't want to say brainwash, but certainly extract information out of people in a more telepathic ways.
Okay.
And so he did a ton of research for the CIA and discovered hemispheric synchronization, or what in actual, the actual name for it that I think was even what he called it is the frequency following response.
Wow.
So it's where a frequency is introduced, an external frequency is introduced via our ears, but it can also be done with magnets, right? And our brains then entrain to it or follow it.
Mm.
We synchronize with it.
Okay. So
and that creates hemispheric synchronization, which is then the synchronization between the hemispheres of the brain.
Okay.
Right? But we're entraining to an external audio stimuli.
Like binaural beats.
Binaural beats or strobing lights. If you could
Okay.
you can use the any sense really, but you're putting in a frequency, stimulating that, and then creating this frequency following response.
Wow.
Yeah, which then entrains the brain to adopt that frequency or, mimic it, if you will. So you can get the brain to then slow down.
Okay.
And so this is what's done a lot in neurotherapy, neuromodulation, neurofeedback therapy. And actually, I believe it is the basis for what's called neuromeditation now, which is where you kind of induce these slower, more meditative, therapeutic brain states through this whole frequency following response discovered by Robert Monroe back in the 50s, I think.
Wow.
He also discovered crazy, oh man, what were they looking into back there? Then it was where people are externally observing other countries and they're spying through their dreams.
Yes. What's it called? Oh my gosh, I can't think of what it's called.
Right. Where you project, astral projection.
Yes, astral projection.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the stuff he was studying with the CIA. Anyways, the paper is out now. It's declassified. I have it. If anyone wants it, I'll link it.
Link it up.
This. Yeah, exactly.
Let's do that.
That's kind of the nerdy side of it. But then there's just like general binaural beats, and then there's even actual physical exercises and activities you can do. Right.
The drawing was cool. I tranced myself out, because you can't look. We did this in this lab. John hung. I don't even know what to call it. It's like a board.
A blackboard.
A blackboard. Oh, it's
with
a blackboard.
Lights.
With black lights. A blacklit blackboard.
Space vibes.
The space vibes. And we've got neon markers. And so we pulled this card because we did a flow lab one day. And we were like, let's draw at the same time. So to draw with both hands at the same time, you can't actually look at either hand. You have to look in the center of where your hands are. And I will tell you, I got very vibed out.
That's
okay.
New.
I would say I noticed that my brain waves slowed down. I went into almost like a trance doing it, and I felt really calm afterwards.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have not experienced that yet. I would love to see what extent we could take this, but the using both hands simultaneously to draw, right? There's anytime you cross the body, the midline of the body with the opposite hand, you're activating the opposite hemisphere, and then you do that at a rhythm in a rhythm.
Alternate tapping. That's
tapping.
Another thing
okay.
that just hitting the microphone. And that's this way, this can definitely help.
But there's something to crossing the midline of the body to do it, I think, right? I believe.
I believe so too. And I don't know.
Have that crisscross applesauce. Isn't this one? Remember this one? How do you
this
do
one? This is this.
There's that one.
This is just putting your. But you know what this does? This actually, this is an ulnar nerve release.
Oh.
I teach it in yoga classes.
Oh, so it still offers therapeutic value.
It does.
It's wonderful. Okay, so we're going to be putting, all of this is together right now.
It is.
And if you want the full printout with the links to where we're finding all the information, we'll have a link to that.
It's on the website.
Exactly. It's on the website, but we'll have a link in this video description as well. Mm-hmm. But that's one of many.
One of many. Should we do another?
Let's do one more.
Let's do one more for the people in at home.
Yeah.
And in the back. For the people in the back. Here we go. It's for you. Okay.
And Kat and I have been trying to play this more and more on our
Mm-hmm.
own, but we're finding that we're playing it most of the time without realizing it because we've actually ingrained it into our lives a lot more than we think.
Yeah.
And now we're like starting to pay attention. So we're realizing where we're stacking and combining them.
Yeah.
And then they become more powerful, which is super cool. So maybe we'll do an example of that here in a minute.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got intention setting.
Hmm.
Intention setting. And that I think is a really powerful thing that can be done at any time for any activity. So you could set an intention for your day. You could also do something like set an intention for if you were involved in an experience or a project, or, when we get together with a group of people, coming together with a collaborative intention can be super helpful for group flow and for getting everybody on the same page.
Coherence.
Coherence.
Synchrony.
Yeah. We had a long talk one day about intention setting and how you can go a couple different directions with it. But ultimately, it's a tool. It is a tool because then it gives you at least something to base your actions off of,
Mm.
or your perception at the very least of what's happening.
Yeah. Well, it gives you a really nice direction
Mm-hmm.
to focus on,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when it comes to like priming for flow, or like, I guess, creating the perfect, fertile soil for flow to happen on its own, maybe spontaneously, yeah, clarifying the direction you'd like to go is super important. So whether that's goal setting and making them clear, smart goals, or just like really deeply knowing your why, your purpose, and then bringing that up every once in a while of like, remember this is my intention. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm here for. Yeah, get out of bed. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
But then absolutely setting intention with friends, or like sometimes we do intentions together, but having an intention and a moment where you can be intentional by setting an intention, I believe is sets you up for success.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I agree. Then you at least have something to base it off of. Like, is this aligned with my intention? Does this feel like it's serving my intention? And it allows you to make decisions and gives a lot of clarity, I think, too. Let's read what did we write here? Intention setting. Set your intention for your day or week. What is a positive word or feeling you can focus on? The feeling, because that's the other piece. There's a piece of this puzzle that's the brain, and then there's a piece of this puzzle that's the heart, or the feeling. And that, I think, the magic and the alchemy happens in the coherence of the two. When our heart is all in and our brain is all in, and we are all in with the intention, that's when it has the most magnetism, I think. And I think that's when you see the most results as well.
Mm. Well, I mean, if you're talking about results, I think there is an equation there,
Okay.
and I don't want to say like this is it definitively. I'm probably oversimplifying it, but essentially, intention plus attention, so focus, plus action
Equals your life.
equals yeah, equals growth, equals
Equals,
movement towards the desired
yeah.
outcome,
Yeah.
or what your intention is, right?
And what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
It's,
So
it's,
you're
it's
you're attracted
yeah, it
essentially.
was really what you're experiencing. And so if you don't like what you're experiencing, then we change the things, change what your intention is, change your actions. And you will change your life and what you're experiencing by doing these things that help you.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's a very useful tool all around, for focusing in on a direction, but also for living an intentional life, perhaps,
Yeah.
right? And bringing meaning and value into this world, right?
Consciously living.
You could say consciously living,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Caring is another
Mm.
amazing word that the new age conscious crowd don't go with as much, but I really think of consciousness as like, how conscious are you as a human? Is like, how much do you care?
How much do you care?
What do you care about? What is the quality and like of that, I
Mm,
guess. But of course that's for each person to find. So we're not here to tell you which intentions to choose, but certainly taking a moment to set some intention, I think, can be a powerful practice for
yeah.
productivity, performance, but also absolutely like literally expanding your awareness
Yeah.
and consciousness. Super out there, esoteric stuff, people.
Well said.
So a lot of these are like, we're trying to make something that has been done for a long time and feels a bit abstract, new age, esoteric, and even like sort of philosophical. We're trying to make it a bit more tangible,
Tangible.
that you can apply directly in your life. But we don't have exactly the template for you, and that's why this is so difficult. I mean, there's
It's like in
tons of
there.
books. There's countless books written on it, or
And then,
written on various topics of health, happiness, overall,
yeah.
well-being.
And we've aggregated it. This playbook that you've written, John, is beautiful.
Thank you. And I appreciate you saying that, but one of the biggest hopes is that it is tangible. Right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Kat is referring to the personal performance playbook that I have been working on, and I am pre-releasing, bit premature, I do say, to the world for free for a limited time only, in hopes that it will reach somebody who needs it, for one, but also somebody who is maybe doing something very similar that would be interested in collaborating more. We really hope to turn all of this into an online course and make it accessible to the masses, and really, really empower everyone to explore their consciousness. That's what we're doing here. That's the collab.
Yeah. Because that's, at the end of the day, we all have the power. You have the power. Like Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, you've always had the power to go home. We all have the power to harness all of this magic that we're talking about. And it's just, do you want to do it or not? And taking the steps to find what it is that turns you on, gets you excited about life. And yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a grind or a ton of
Mm-mm.
friction or struggle, or like actually even much effort if you reframe it. And so, although we're just talking about a personal performance playbook and an online course, if that doesn't call to you in any way, that's okay. We're also talking about freely experimenting and playing a card game that randomly chooses which technique to use at what time, and you get to choose in real time how to put them together and for how long, and each aspect about it you get to experiment with. Because I really think that that is our in with like making this very intrinsically motivating,
Yeah.
very fun, playful, and hopefully at some point we can figure out a point system and some rules.
So everyone can play each other.
Yeah, so that it really can take another level of gamification on.
Yeah.
But right now it's simple, and I really like that.
I do too.
It's straightforward. Like I said, I've put all of this information with tons of training techniques into one place, and that is on our website. And you're welcome to check it out and download it. Let us know what you think. And if you feel like you've gotten something from it, then we really invite you to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And we have also set up our Patreon. So if you want to support it as an ongoing project, as it evolves, as it goes from PDF to an ebook to an online course to hopefully a documentary one day, right?
About the evolution of flow.
We could only hope.
Yes.
But we're starting here, and we're starting with what we have, and luckily we have you. So thank you for following along so far. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe, and share everything. It really helps us out. And yeah,
Yeah,
make sure you check out the game.
check out the game. It's on the website. You can play it at any time. It's fun. It's just this little scrolling thing. You take a screenshot and do the activity. And we find too, like stacking things can be nice, like playing a couple at once can be fun. Um, and this is really part of my everyday life. Like I'm using these techniques to continually move myself along.
Our hope with the experiment as a card game is for as many people to play it and share it with their friends as possible and come up with their own techniques or tools or strategies for priming or unwinding from flow and share that with us.
Yeah.
We are trying to create a crowd-sourced, crowd-funded project here. And again, we'll have all of the links below, but we really appreciate you guys following along, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in.